Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us and welcome to today's short tutorial on calculating sum functions using Excel. Today, as mentioned, we're going to learn how to use the simple sum function in Excel, using it to calculate sum totals of anything really. As is evident before us, you can see we have opened a worksheet in Excel, ready to use to demonstrate the skill we are learning today in Excel. We've got some different documents here that we'll be alternating between. The spreadsheet before us is very simple. It's another example. We can navigate away from the page and open up the files to use also. So let's just open that one as well. There's some more detailed data to work with. But firstly, we'll be going back to our simple spreadsheet that we're working with today. Firstly, we'll begin by defining how Excel defines sum function. Microsoft Excel defines sum as a formula that adds all the numbers in a range of cells. This definition clearly points out that sum has a job to add numbers, and the arguments can be supplied using combinations of both numbers and range of cells. Range is one of the inputs in the sum function. It is important to understand the different inputs into the equation in order to explain it. The range must be clearly identified to Excel so that we can tell it what range it is summated. The range can be selected by highlighting and dragging down on the cells that we want to highlight. This information is required to correctly add total figures or totals per category for any sum total we are trying to calculate. So, as just mentioned, we firstly need to select the range to be added. It is important to include appropriate ranges. Select the cell, range of cells, or non-adjacent selections that you want to name. For example, to select the range B2 to C4, simply click on cell B2 and drag down through to C4. We have now selected the range B2 to C4. To select a range of individual cells, hold down Control and click on each cell that we want to include in the range. To name cells or ranges based on worksheet labels, select the labels and the cells that are to be named. To expand further on our definition earlier, sum function is a very popular and useful formula in Microsoft Excel. It is one of the most basic, widely used, and easy to understand arithmetic functions in Excel. As the name suggests, sum function in Excel performs the addition of numbers. Sum function can accept numbers both as individual arguments and also as a complete range of cells. The Excel sum function adds together a supplied set of numbers and returns the sum of these values. The syntax of the function is therefore sum, open brackets, number 1, number 2, and close brackets. The function that sum performs, as mentioned, is to calculate totals per category. This function is very useful when, for example, totaling donations for a political party when they are broken down into lots of smaller entries, total number of cars per state per postcode, or total number of anything really. The syntax of sum function in Excel can therefore be described as follows. In fact, sum function has two syntaxes and hence they can be written in two different ways. Simply put, the sum function in Excel adds the arguments we enter in a formula. The first step we need to do is to open up Excel and begin to work with the data. We may be using or working with the pre-existing dataset as we are today, or we may be collating data of our own. Either way, we have entered the data into Excel. In order to use and access the sum function in Excel, we click on a cell, type in the equals sign, we type in sum, Excel will bring up the function, we double click on it. We now select the data to be summated depending on what dataset we are working with. While this function can be used to add the total of many different groups, as a worksheet function, the sum function can be entered as part of a formula in a cell of a worksheet. So we're now going to highlight the range, as we demonstrated earlier, that we want to summate. We close brackets and click Enter. As you can see, Excel has calculated the total of the range that we selected. The sum formula B2, B5 sums only the values in the range B2, B5. Cell range 1, cell range 2 specifies multiple cell ranges containing numbers which are to be added.